Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us today for our time of devotion. I'm joining you from the Rock Springs Park area of Lenoir City, and I have found some golden splendor of autumn out here today. Look at the trees. Aren't they pretty? Still a lot of green leaves, but the leaves are turning golden. So I hope you're having a good day wherever you are. I pray you are at peace. Some days it's not easy to feel at peace when we know that our neighbors are suffering. And so I want to thank our church congregation and those of you beyond in our Facebook community and in the greater Holston Conference area and all who are giving to food pantries right now and who are supporting our air traffic controllers and federal workers. So we're just all pulling together. So in the midst of sadness and suffering and uncertainty, I'm rejoicing by seeing so many generous people and generous congregations and faith groups, I'm sure synagogues and other faith groups, community organizations all pulling together. So thank you for that. And speaking of that subject, I want to tell you we have a little library, you know, the little wooden libraries you see around different towns in America, and people put in books and you can take a book or leave a book, read a book, borrow it, take it, bring one back, you know, little library. Well, we have a little library at Trinity, and so lately I've been making that little box into a blessing box for food items, non-perishable food items, shelf-stable food items. If you want to help us bring in small items, the blessing box is not very large, but you know, small cans of soup or vegetables or fruits, small individually wrapped items like granola bars or fruit bars, maybe even chips, peanut butter crackers, cheese crackers, items like that would be nice, or even hygiene items, and we'll place those in our blessing box, the little library. Okay, a lot of churches and organizations are doing that right now, and I'm so grateful. We invite you to give through our church to the Good Samaritans Center's Thanksgiving basket program, and that's a great ministry Trinity has supported for many years to provide a good Thanksgiving meal to our neighbors, and we're looking for volunteer workers to help us to distribute the baskets from the center. It's just 2 blocks over from our church. If you can help us early one morning in the next week or two, that would be fabulous. I plan to go a couple of mornings myself, and Jane Whitaker is our church member who serves on that board. I'm sure she'll also be glad to help you get scheduled for a time, or you can make a contribution. There are a lot of ways to give right now through our mattress ministry, the Thanksgiving baskets, of course the Wesley House food pantry ministry continues throughout the year. Every week we're giving to Wesley House, and I thank you for your donations. There are just so many ways we can help, and a lot of people give clothing and furniture and household items to the Good Neighbor Ministry. It's also a wonderful agency in Lenoir City for Loudoun County. It's Native American Heritage Month in the United Methodist Church, and maybe that's a national emphasis as well this month in November. And being out in the beauty of the woods reminds us so much of how our Native brothers and sisters really do seem to honor the work of the Creator and all the benefits we gain from God's good creation. And so being here in this beauty and the natural beauty with the wind blowing, the gentle breeze, just means so much to refresh our spirits. So I hope you're enjoying some beauty somewhere. Maybe you saw the beaver moon last night. There's always beauty somewhere. Look, because God is beauty. God walks in beauty and calls us to walk in beauty. And so we find these places, these ways of connecting with God, our Creator, and you'll find renewal there. So I'd like to share a devotional thought it goes along with the theme for Sunday scripture. We're still in Luke's Gospel for a few more weeks. Luke's Gospel, chapter 19, verses 1 through 10, the story about Zacchaeus meeting Jesus in person. And Zacchaeus invites Jesus to his home, or rather, Jesus kind of invites himself to Zacchaeus' home. And so I found a devotion. I've shared this book with you many times, Native Wisdom for White Minds, compiled by Ann Wilson Shape. Stories from all sorts of Indigenous persons throughout the world. And this particular story is from someone who lives in Hawaii. This young woman says, I asked my grandmother if she knew the stranger that she was feeding at her house, and her grandmother replied and said, no, he's from another tribe. And so when I asked her, well, why are you feeding him? She got upset with me and made me sit down and told me I must listen. She answered, I want you to remember these words for as long as you live and never forget them. And so she said in her native tongue, she said, I was not feeding the man. I was entertaining the Spirit of God within the man. I was entertaining the Spirit of God within the man. And somehow our Western minds, our Western education, our Western theology maybe isn't always helpful in allowing us to connect better with God's Spirit, God's handiwork, God's creation, and the Spirit of God within every creature. People love their pets, you know. A lot of people love to look at the birds, feed the birds, plant flowers and gardens, and just don't forget that we're connecting with God who created these beautiful things. So thank you for your support of our ministries, and just for being with me on a Friday. It helps me to get out of the house or out of the office, you know, and away from the computers and the copy machines and all that, the phone calls, just to be able to breathe in deeply of God's peace. So breathe in deeply, take a good breath, breathe it in, and hold it and think of God's Spirit being as close as our breathing. And then exhale, and exhale your worries. Take a deep breath many times a day. It's good for our bodies and our minds and our spirits. So today we're praying for Bob and Connie who need God's healing touch. We continue our prayers for Daniel. He's doing well in rehab. We hope to see him back at church soon. And also for Hazel, we're praying for her to be back at church soon. She's doing better. And praying for all those who've been laid off from jobs, or those who've had to continue working, the federal workers, without pay. And we just pray for God's justice to be done, and for lawmakers to turn their hearts and minds to the Lord for God's great plan of equity and abundance and peace and harmony and justice for all people. Because we want to love our neighbors even as we love ourselves. All right, so thank you for being signs of God's light and love and beauty in the world. And I'll share this Native American Awareness Sunday prayer from our United Methodist Book of Worship. If you're a United Methodist, you can find this prayer in our worship book. So we bring our concerns and our praises, our thoughts to the Lord. Every part of this earth is sacred, O Creator. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, the rocky crest, the meadow, the beasts, and all the people all belong to the same family. The wind that gave our grandparents breath is the wind giving our children the spirit of life. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know, all things are connected in our Creator. Like the blood which unites one family, all things are connected. Our God is the same God whose compassion is equal for all. Let us give thanks for the circle of life connecting us in God's love. Thanks be to God, the God of all. So have a good day, and thanks again for joining us, and thanks for partnering with us on these food ministries and justice ministries, and continuing to be symbols of God's peace and light and love and joy wherever you can go. So go in peace to love and serve the Lord, and may the love and peace of God be with you always.